Hey guys, how's it going? It's Billy here, coming at you this time with the 2018 edition of the Vinyl Tag. It was kind of up in the air a little bit as to if I was going to participate in this version this year. It's just a matter of time. Which really there's no timing to it. Hell, I could have done it in June or July if I wanted to, but I seen everybody was putting their hat in the ring, and figured I would go ahead and get this taken care of. It's a good way to jump in, make a video without too much thought involved. There's a little bit of work involved as far as digging out records and whatnot, which as you guys can see, I've changed all the records in the background here. Probably not too hard to figure out that this is favorite album covers. So if you can look at the album covers here, including the Megadeth and the Kiss. The Megadeth's just obviously one of my favorite album covers of all time because it's up there on the wall, huge. But if you can figure out those and kind of process of elimination, maybe you can figure out what my favorite album cover is. It's not one of these. So let's jump right in here. Let's start with the first one here. Number one, first video you ever seen in the VC. That would be one of two. It's an easy answer, but it's a hard answer. It would either be LJ, Biosite 1, LJ, or Steve, Harmless Rebel. One of those two. At the time, they were the only two I could find, and this has been 3.5, 4 years ago. Like I said, I watched videos for a couple of years before I even ever thought about making videos. But it would either be LJ, Biosite 1, or Steve, Harmless Rebel. Those two were the only two at the time, 3.5, 4 years ago, that were talking about country music. And they talked about, all their hard rock and the prog stuff and heavy metal and things like that. But they were the only two that would throw in there. They'd give you that occasional little tidbit of country music, and I loved it. LJ would do his honky tonkin' updates, and they're still some of my favorites. I look forward to LJ's honky tonkin' updates. Number two, favorite record you discovered through a VC video. Again, talking about LJ, one of his honky tonkin' updates, he had mentioned this here. Sturgill Simpson, High Top Mountain, and was saying, it was a great traditional sound, and I definitely wasn't exposed at the time to Sturgill Simpson, had no idea who he was, but thank goodness LJ turned me on to this. What a great album. In case you guys aren't familiar, which I'm sure everybody out there that loves country music is familiar with Sturgill Simpson. This is great, man. Life Ain't Fair and the World Is Mean, Railroad of Sin, Sitting Here Without You, With You on My Mind, The Storm, You Can Have the Crown, Time After All, Hero, Some Days, Old King Cole. It's an unbelievable honky-tonk record. Just great stuff. In the style of Hank Williams Jr., Waylon Jennings, that type of stuff. So, Sturgill Simpson, High Top Mountain. Thanks, LJ. Number three, what are your other hobbies? Kind of easy. Photography, in case y'all aren't aware. Photography, mainly sports photography. That's what I do. I have started, I guess I've been involved in photography since 1993, so 25 years. And then I play a little music on the side. I don't really consider it a hobby. I guess you could call it a hobby. I mean, but I play music, make music, record music, write music, things of that nature. So photography and music. Let's see, moving on. Question number 4. Why did you start to collect? That was kind of tricky, kind of hard to answer. But I would probably have to go back to when I was a kid. I always collected. I always had music in and around me. But I would say probably collecting. What I did collect as a kid were baseball cards. So that probably sparked that probably started that collecting spark inside of me that kind of grew into this, what you guys see as far as music. So probably collecting baseball cards. That would be why I started collecting the physical format of music. One thing I want to add quickly here is I'm going to throw these in real quick. When I talked about question number 4, what made me start to collect, and it was collecting baseball cards as a kid, and I still kind of collect a little bit. You know, we talked about baseball cards and photography, but this is one that kind of got it started for me, if you can pardon the glare. This is a 1957 Topps Mickey Mantle. See the back there. You can't really see them too good without the glare on them, but 57 Topps Mickey Mantle there. And then you guys know, Titans, go Titans. Got a rep this weekend against the Patriots. So this is Chris Johnson's rookie card, you know, piece of his jersey, signed, numbered. Love CJ2K, one of my absolute favorite Titans to watch over the years. My favorite Titans moment, 1999 Music City Miracle, signed by Kevin Dyson and Frank Wycheck. And then, you know, I've even had a couple of my photos used on trading cards. So as you guys know, I'm a sports photographer. We talked about that earlier. This is Michael Sam. Let's see if we can get that to focus there. Michael Sam, you know, played at Mizzou. Michael Sam, that's one of my pictures there. And then here's another one. I've had a bunch on cards, but these were just a couple that I had readily available. The Ohio State University, OH. This is Carlos Hyde, rookie card. This was taken in Champaign the year I think he scored 5 touchdowns and just absolutely tore U of I a new ass. So there you go, Carlos Hyde. So that's a little bit into my trading card background there. So let's see, number 5. Do you play an instrument or are you in a band? Yes, and I guess you could say yes. I play guitar, although very half-assedly, if that's a word, half-assedly. Very half-assed. I'm kind of a hack. I do play rhythm guitar, acoustic guitar, and sing. I do have a couple albums out. Went to Nashville in the mid to late 90s, made a couple records, and the rest is history, as they say. So yeah, I do play in a band. The band is Thrillbilly, Billy Hurst and the Thrillbillies. So that is what I do. Question number 6. Have you ever worked in a record store? That answer would be no, but I've spent probably enough time in record stores to be considered an employee without getting paid. So no, I've never worked in a record store. All right, now we're getting to the good stuff, the meat and potatoes, I guess you could call it, of the 2018 vinyl tag. So question number 7, favorite album from the year you were born. So let's see, I was born in 1974. So let's just show a few things here. Released in 1974, Waylon, the Ramblin' Man, and I won't go into detail on these because that's not it. That's not my favorite. These are just ones I'm going to show that are not my favorites, but could have been. Any one of these could have been. Linda Ronstadt's Heart Like a Wheel, phenomenal record. It's not the Charlie Daniels Band, Fire on the Mountain. All these are great records, so I'm not going to say great record, phenomenal record, awesome record, killer record. You guys know. BTO, Not Fragile. Love that cover, by the way. That could have been up here. Another classic from 1974, Bad Company. Yeah, that is my German copy. Oh. It's not Queen, Sheer Heart Attack. You guys are figuring out where I'm going with this. It's not this one. It's not Kiss, Hotter Than Hell. So what is it? Nope, it's not. This one released in the same year. The Kiss self-titled. Could have been. This was number 2. But number 1, my favorite album released the year I was born, 1974's Lynyrd Skynyrd's Second Helping. This is just an awesome, awesome album. I know you guys are probably tired of me showing this, but to me, this is like a greatest hits compilation. The songs like Sweet Home Alabama, Don't Ask Me No Questions, Working for MCA, The Ballad of Curtis Lowe, Swamp Music, The Needle in the Spoon, Call Me the Breeze. If that's not a greatest hits comp, I don't know what is. So this is actually the QRP, Quality Records Press, Analog Productions, reissue, remaster. Sounds phenomenal. Happy to have it. Awesome collection. Awesome addition to the collection. So there is my favorite album of the year I was released. 1974, Skynyrd's Second Helping. Question number 8. What classic record have you never heard? There's shockingly, to some of you guys, because I talk to some of you on a regular basis, and some of you think that I am a wealth of knowledge, and I'm just a cesspool of nothing, I guess, because I like what I like, but there's so much music out there we just obviously can't listen. Well, all of us, we just can't listen to it all. We can't obviously love everything, but getting back to the question here, here's a classic album that I have not heard in its entirety. I've obviously heard the hits, but I've never listened to this album as a whole, but I plan on it. It is Rolling Stones' Let It Bleed. There's actually a couple Stones records that I need to really digest, and this is one of them. So there you have it. Classic record I've never heard. Stones, Let It Bleed. Let's see, question number 9. What was that? Show a guilty pleasure record. What I did is I was actually looking for my guilty pleasure and found this. New Kids on the Block. So I was actually looking in the ends, looking for something else, and I found this. Do I love this album? No, but do I love a couple of the songs on it? Absolutely. Hangin' Tough, man. I really do like that. I jammed on it the day I got it. So guilty pleasure, whatever. Call it what you will. Anyway, that's not the one I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. New Kids on the Block when I found or I was looking for New Edition when I found New Kids on the Block. New Edition. I don't remember all the guys. I know Bobby Brown. There's a handful of, like, there's Bobby Brown. Was it Keith Sweat and Bobby, Ronnie, Ricky, and Mike? Or I don't know. Anyway, loved these guys when I was a kid, and actually sit back and still, when I picked this up a few years back, listening to Mr. Telephone Man and Cool It Now. They're corny, but they're still pretty good. So I guess there's my guilty pleasure right there. It's not something I listen to all the time, but I did enjoy it when I spun it. Question number 10. Show your strangest record. Again, there'll be 2 for this one, but this is pretty strange. All in the Family. I was going through a collection and ran across a couple of these actually, and put this on and gave it a spin. And track number 1, Those Were the Days theme song. You know, when the part when it comes in and she says, "And you do when you want her," and Archie says, "Girls were girls and men were men." So it still cracked me up when I heard that. So that was pretty strange. Not quite as strange as this. Stumbled across this in a collection last year as well, a year or 2 ago maybe. WWF Pile Driver. What's so weird about this is it's wrestlers singing songs. So like the Honky Tonk Man. You know, Honky Tonk Man's doing the Honky Tonk Man. Coco Beware, Hillbilly Jim. It's strangely entertaining. Question number 11. Show a picture disc. Don't have too many picture discs, but I am going to show one that's pretty special. This is one that just was sent to me, if you guys can see it there. Sent to me by my buddy Mitch Wood. It's Iron Maiden. It's a single, Wasted Years. And the reason this one, I'm showing this one, and the reason it is so special is because this belonged to Mitch's father, who has passed away, and had handed his collection down to Mitch, and Mitch knew, or kind of thought, that I would enjoy this, and man, was he ever right. This is my favorite Maiden single, and thank you so much for that, Mitch. It means a lot. So there's a picture disc there, and I got the original note that Mitch sent along with it in there as well. Question number 12, best posthumous release. That one took me a little bit of thinking, but I did find one that I really do enjoy. I just wasn't sure if it was released. I knew it was released the year she passed, but I didn't know it was released posthumously, and it's Amy Winehouse, Lioness, Hidden Treasures. Love Amy, just an extremely talented, just troubled soul. Wish she could have gotten help, because man, just unbelievably talented. So there just some great songs on here too. So this is one of my faves right there. Question number 13, what artists do you compulsively collect? Well, there are quite a few. Gosh, Waylon, Sammy, Seeger, Kiss, you know, all those guys you've seen, or you will see in one form or another. So the guy I guess I will go with here is Steve Earle. I have always collected anything and everything Steve Earle. This is his debut album, Guitar Town, probably one of the finest debut albums ever recorded. And this is just my signed copy that goes back up on the wall. But you know, I collect pretty much anything and everything by Steve. I don't collect, really, I don't actively seek out 7-inch singles, but I do actually collect some of his 7-inch singles. So he's probably one of the guys, that's why I decided to show him as far as people that I compulsively collect, Steve Earle. Question number 14, best blind buy. As some of you guys probably know, I am the St. Louis Cardinals team photographer, and the last handful of years, probably 2 or 3 years, Matt Carpenter, one of our players, Matt Carpenter, his walk-up song. So when every time he comes up to bat, you know, when guys come up to bat, they've got a little introduction or walk-up song. His walk-up song has either been Turnpike Troubadours, Long Hot Summer Day, which I was already familiar with that, or the other one was by this guy, Colter Wall, and it's Sitting on a Blacktop. Just hearing that one song when this record came out, I snapped it up immediately. Also, there's 2 other reasons why I picked it up, other than the fact that, so that's all I had ever heard of him, was just that little 15-second snippet of Sitting on a Blacktop by Colter Wall as Matt Carpenter's walk-up song. But I noticed that this was produced by Dave Cobb, and my buddy Michael Webb, who produced my records and played on my records as well, plays on this record. So had to buy it, love it. It's rootsy, bluesy, soul, stripped down, just bare bones country. His vocal, I mean, there's some haunting stuff on here. His vocal is very much in the style of like a Johnny Cash, and then you get a little mix of Townes Van Zandt in there as well. But great stuff. If you guys haven't heard of Colter Wall, give it a shot. Question number 16, favorite album cover. So as you can see, guys, behind me here are all album covers that I love. You've probably already kind of looked through them and figured out, well, maybe you haven't figured out what my best album cover is, but always has been, probably always will be, Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run. Clean, simple, effective, beautiful. I love the fact that you've got Bruce on the front, and then you open the gatefold and he's just leaning on the big man. So there you have it. Favorite album cover, Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run. And I got a little bit out of order here, so I want to swing back through. Question 15 was a blind spot artist. Show a blind spot artist, and I took that to mean somebody who's kind of always been there, but nobody really ever shows. You don't really see a lot. And for me, that would be Townes Van Zandt. This is my original copy of the late great Townes Van Zandt on Poppy Records. Just a beautiful copy and a fantastic record. Townes Van Zandt, you know, I have seen, with the addition of guys like Andrew, Tales from the Crate, and gosh, Brendan, my friend Morrissey, a couple of you guys have talked a little bit about Townes Van Zandt, especially Andrew. Andrew is a huge Townes Van Zandt fan, so he's getting a little bit more mentions here and there. But yeah, in my kind of my small circle that I follow, there's not very much talk of Townes, and I think everybody should get a little bit more Townes in their life. Great stuff. Question number 17. A musician that you've met. Again, several. Being in the industry I was in Nashville for 8.5 years, I've met anybody who's anybody. But just one right off the top of my head that is kind of a cool story. Mr. Vern Gosdin, the late great Vern Gosdin, The Voice. He's the original, not the stupid TV show. This is The Voice. This is the real voice. So Vern Gosdin. In 2001, when I was recording my second record at the UA, I was at the UA Tower. We were recording on the 4th floor of the UA Tower, the United Artists Tower in Nashville, and went down for lunch one day. It was just I think it was myself and my engineer. And everybody else had either probably not shown up for the day because it was probably a late session, but we got there early. Myself and the engineer, we went downstairs to the cafeteria to get a bite to eat. We had a sandwich. We're sitting down, and a guy comes up with his tray, like at school. You know, he actually had a tray with his sandwich and a little bag of chips, and asked if he could sit with us, and we're like, sure. And I look up, and lo and behold, it's Vern Gosdin. We sat there and had lunch with Vern Gosdin. Of course, I was crapping my pants. I was a little kid, just giddy and excited, but trying not to like germ all over him. I was just trying to be calm, cool, and collective, but inside I was shitting my pants. You know, we talked all of maybe 15 minutes over our lunch, just casual conversation. What a gentleman, great dude, and I loved that little bit of time I got to spend with Vern that day. So there you go, Vern Gosdin. Question number 18, show a record with sentimental value. So I have shown this record before, and this is my parents' original copy of Jim Croce, You Don't Mess Around with Jim. Love this record. It's very, very, very special to me, not only because it's loaded with hits, and it reminds me of my childhood, but, you know, it takes me back. It was always on at the house. You know, Mom and Dad always had this playing. I kind of think this is more Mom's stuff than Dad's, because she was a little bit more into the folky type stuff, the Creedence and things like that. But whereas Dad was more of a rocker, you know, Ted Nugent and the Beatles and you know, that kind of stuff, Alice Cooper. So I think this is probably a little bit more Mom influenced. But this one here, I'm going to show this one, Jim Croce. You Don't Mess Around with Jim, and then I'm going to show this one because it means a lot to me as well. It's a newer addition to the collection, thanks to brother Steve, Harmless Rebel. He picked this up for me and sent it as VCLT, and it is the MoFi pressing of the same record, classic Jim Croce. Thank you very much for that, Steve. Means a lot. Moving right along, we're almost there, guys. Question number 19. Favorite album no one else seems to know about. So you guys see I rep Blackberry Smoke a lot, but this is one that I don't believe I've ever seen anybody else show. It's Blackberry Smoke, The Whippoorwill. Just an unbelievable, this was kind of their big breakthrough record. Produced, I I'm not 100% sure if it was produced by Zac Brown, but I know Zac Brown had a hand in it. It's on his record label, maybe just distributed by his label as well, but just loaded front to back with killer songs, and this was kind of their big breakthrough. So Blackberry Smoke, The Whippoorwill would be an album that I love, that no one else seems to really talk about or know about. And then last but not least, favorite album from a genre that you don't know too well. And that would be prog rock, progressive rock, Rush, Permanent Waves. I don't get into... I guess I shouldn't say I don't. I haven't until recently, the last few years, gotten into this type of music. I just never would give it a chance. But when the first time I heard this album, I was just absolutely floored and blown away. I love it, love it, love it. Front to back, great record. And too bad all the progressive rock isn't this good. But and too bad all the Rush isn't this good. But because it's hit or miss with me with Rush, but I'm starting to like more than I don't like. But this is just unbelievable. Love it. So that would be my favorite album from a genre that I don't know too well. I'm not that familiar with the progressive rock, but love that album. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that answered a few questions that maybe you weren't aware of, things that I was into. Shed a little bit of light on me as a person and as a collector. Can't wait to see your guys' response. So for the 2018 vinyl tag, this is Billy signing off. Everybody, as usual, take care. Peace.